Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Ash.
And this is F1 Fanatics. So it is back-to-back weekends on the F1 calendar. This week we are in Monza and we are going to be looking ahead to this week's race. Well, obviously giving you some fun stats. And as always, a feature of our previews, Mike's Amateur Laps. Guys, don't forget, if you are new around here, you can subscribe to the channel below and click that bell notification so you can keep up to date with all our latest data. And if you've been noticing in our videos recently, we also have our Twitter up in the top left corner for you there. So you can follow us on Twitter, where we are very active in the community as well. So, first of all, what we like to start off with in our preview is Stat Attack. And so, as I usually do the basic ones, we will carry on because that is tradition now on F1 Fanatics. So, it is a 53 lap race. It is a 5.793 kilometre race, which is obviously shorter than the 7 kilometres at Spa. And the lap record is held by Rubens Barrichello, which was set in 2004, which is a 1:21.046. So yeah, it's pretty impressive that it hasn't been beaten, but I think we've seen with a lot of the times this year that had long histories, they have started to be beaten with this year's cars. Ashley, over to your stats.
So mine are more track-based, shall we say.
Yeah.
So, Monza was built in 110 days and was the world's third purpose-built racetrack. So that's after Brooklands and then Indianapolis in the US. Monza was also one of the original 6 racetracks in the first Formula One World Championship, so nicely following Spa as well as one of those. And 80% of this lap is on the accelerator, so you're on the throttle for 80% of the lap. Very few braking zones, which fantastic to see.
I mean, I think that leads us very nicely on to Mike's Amateur Lap. Obviously, it is our common feature on the channel now. I play the F1 2018 game. It is still 2018, but I have a feeling by the time we get to Singapore, we might be in 2019, so exciting times for you guys ahead. But here is my go at butchering a lap. The circuit, fingers crossed, I don't spin it out at all.
You never know going through Parabolica.
You never know. But here it is, guys.
And here we are, guys, at Monza, the Temple of Speed, and it's that time of week again. It is a Mike Amateur Lap, and it is also Mike Amateur filming, because as you can tell by the quiet background, I've got to switch on the mic when recording the lap. So here we go, guys. We are accelerating into that incredibly tight turn 1. Me and Ashley are predicting that there will be a collision going into this corner. Down into 2, into 1, and then accelerating out. This is obviously where Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel were fighting at the start last year, battling all round into this section before they came into turn 3, where they went wheel to wheel, and 2 doesn't go into 1, so Vettel collided and he spun out, and obviously massively affected his race, finishing 4th in the end. We are now getting on to this section of corners there, turn 5 and turn 6. They are deceptively tight corners, so a little bit difficult, but they are also very quick corners as well, because 80% of this lap is flat out on the accelerator. Again, a nice sequence of corner there, then you're accelerating through this section of the track, lost it a little bit, the back end there, and then it is pretty much accelerating down the straight here. It is a super quick lap at Monza, very fun to drive here. I had to go Ferrari for a second week. I know I've changed it up every week, but it is Monza, and when you think Monza, you think the Tifosi and you think Ferrari. So there you go, guys, another Mike's Amateur Lap. Enjoy the rest of the video. See ya!
So guys, there it is, and I say there it is on a Tuesday night, having not yet filmed the amateur lap yet, so it could be good or it could be horrific. So please do let us know in the comments what you think of the lap, because I have no idea what's going to come out on you guys on a Thursday. But yeah, that, as always, we kind of, while we still play the F1 2018 game, it leads into a nice link into looking at the 2018 race. And like at Spa last year, where we had to look at turn 1 as the first cause of incident, I think we have to do exactly the same here at Monza.
Yep, it was, and it led us on to what would become a common theme, shall we say, for the following 12 months. So, for those of you that aren't aware, it was the start of the battle between Hamilton and Vettel, which led to Vettel making a mistake.
I think mistakes out of, if we're classifying his mistakes, I think that's the harshest mistakes. 2 doesn't fit into 1 in that corner.
No.
And they came together. It could have quite easily have been Hamilton. Vettel was the unlucky one who lost it and obviously affected his race, but was able to recover to a 4th place position, wasn't it?
It was, yes. So the battle itself started into turn 1 and 2 with Vettel being blocked off by Raikkonen, which did mean that his acceleration and traction through turn 2 was compromised. And then going into the chicane at turn 3 and 4 was where, well, it happened. And there was the coming together between Vettel and Hamilton there, but racing incident, as the stewards decided in that situation, but the collision did mean that Vettel span to the back of the pack, which, yeah, wasn't great considering Ferrari were hoping to build on a very successful qualifying where they had 1-2.
No, it wasn't great at all. But still, overall in the performance, like I said, Vettel finished 4th and Kimi Raikkonen finished 2nd. So I think we should say Lewis Hamilton was a race victory, and this was really his then charge to the finish line where he secured that 5th World Championship. It was a pretty good race by Kimi overall. There was a couple of interchanges between him and Hamilton, but it turned out Kimi didn't manage his tyres as well as Hamilton within that race. And I think we look at now, the Mercedes does tend to, as a car, be a little bit kinder on its tyres than the Ferrari, and he lost it near the end, that lead.
Yeah, the other thing to mention for the race was the 5-second penalty for Max Verstappen, and he's surprised to the fact that he was given a penalty for almost forcing a driver off of the circuit.
He was not a happy boy.
No, he was not.
He did not comprehend it at all, and he made those feelings quite clear. I think he was very vocal in terms of saying that they were interfering with racing and that they are ruining Formula 1.
Yes.
So certainly not a held back opinion.
No, but
he was certainly a lot more measured at Spa in his response.
Yes, but when you watch the incident, and no doubt Verstappen did, he would understand why the penalty was given. There was that late movement in the braking zone, which did cause Bottas to have to take evasive action. So it was an understandable penalty, but yes, the frustration was clear.
Yeah, there's that border between hard racing and kind of, unfair to an opponent, causing him to do evasive action, and in that instance Verstappen did cross the line, but yeah, that cost him, dropping him to 5th position with that 5-second penalty, moved Seb up into 4th. But like I said, I don't think there is anything else from really the 2018 race.
It wasn't incident packed.
No, it was one spectacular, but it was still a good race.
It was, yes.
Within it. So yeah, now looking ahead to 2019, and so obviously again you come to Monza, the first thing you think about is Ferrari. And I think we both feel, if you've watched the F1 Play predictions earlier in the day, we feel that Ferrari won too, with Charles Leclerc topping that, boosted by the confidence of last time out. I think he just needed to get the monkey off his back in terms of that first race win, and he will be confident, and he's already proven that the 1 lap pace and general race lap pace, he has been better than Vettel.
Yeah, qualifying, he's definitely got the edge over Vettel in terms of that 1 lap performance and putting together a lap that is of a very high quality. And then, racecraft wise, still has some learning to do, but that is down to age and experience, but has shown amazing racecraft and control within his performances.
Certainly has. So yeah, we predict Ferrari 1-2, with then Lewis Hamilton coming up the third. And probably the big surprise, we spoke about it in our race review of Spa, was the actual pace Mercedes had in terms of later on in the race, especially on the was it medium compounds they were on the second part of the race. They certainly had a pace advantage over the Ferraris on that tyre, and even when Vettel pitted late after losing the place to Hamilton, he wasn't really able to eat into the deficit at all on soft tyres. So yeah, the Mercedes power unit certainly has improved, or at least the gap isn't as much as it was hyped out to be throughout the season.
No, and I think the one thing to actually take into account here is the fact that the Mercedes does seem to be able to perform well on worn tyres, whereas the Ferraris in particular have an incredible drop-off in pace, which was seen by Sebastian Vettel in his second stint in Spa.
But we
and Charles Leclerc towards the end as well, to be fair.
we all know Ferrari aren't a big fan of these tyres, because that's why they petitioned so hard earlier in the season to get the 2018 spec tyres back, which obviously they got a lot better performance out last year.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, Ferraris to dominate, Mercedes to be closer than you think. Best of the rest?
I think it's going to be Carlos Sainz. The McLaren performed well in terms of the power unit itself at Spa, just a few reliability issues, which they've had that race now. I don't think it's something that's going to creep in as a regular occurrence. This season they haven't appeared to be a team like a Renault or a Haas, where once there's an issue it regularly shows up. So I think they'll be back on it, performing well this weekend.
Yeah, and like we've spoken about in both review and F1 Play prediction video, that kind of gap deficit between Lando Norris and Perez before, obviously, it was the clutch gearbox failure.
Well,
we're not too sure.
It's one of the two.
The car was broken.
There was something wrong with the clutch gearbox combo, because the way the anti-stall was kicking in when it wasn't needed, or not kicking in when it was.
Yeah.
So, one thing that we haven't mentioned that we probably should is the likelihood of Max Verstappen starting from the back of the grid.
Yeah.
So obviously Alexander Albon took the grid penalties at Spa for the new Honda power unit. Verstappen didn't, and you can expect him to be taken this weekend so that he's got a fresh power unit for Singapore, a race where Red Bull are likely to be a lot more competitive. However, it will be incredible to see Max charging through the pack in a Red Bull that he is going to be driving with some anger this weekend.
He certainly is, and it will be interesting because actually at Spa, although obviously Albon took the engine penalty at Spa, he was actually running the Spec 2 engine that they were running pre-France. So we actually haven't seen the ability of the Spec 4 engine in a Red Bull. Kvyat was driving that Spec 4 at Spa, and we obviously saw his race pace that he had, and yeah, showed a lot of potential there. I think we can probably look at this weekend. I would be surprised if we didn't just see the opposites. It seems like this seems to be the time that teams are setting up for the second half of the season. So I'd expect Lando to take a grid penalty, Verstappen to do it, Checo to take it. I think he's probably like Lance Stroll, needs to go from there, and then Gasly to take it as well, because obviously both Renaults took their penalty, so no further penalties for them unless obviously they do something naughty in qualifying. Or practice, correct. I think probably moves us on nicely to our one to watch feature for the weekend, where we pick a driver and a constructor to do well.
Yeah, so driver, team.
Works well for me.
Okay, I'll go first then for driver, and I said it in our video with the F1 debate show. The driver that I think you should be watching out for this weekend is going to be Alexander Albon. So obviously in Spa he took grid penalties, which did lead to a very successful race in coming through the pack. However, I think it will be great to see his performance in a one-lap pace, with the one-lap pace of the Red Bull in qualifying, allowing him that opportunity to compete with maybe the Mercedes. Depends on how he settles this weekend with the car, especially as it's going to be a different driving experience for him.
He certainly proved at Spa that he won't be afraid to take on experienced drivers and overtakes. I know obviously Ricciardo at that stage with his terrible strategy was falling back heavier than a boulder down a hill at that stage, but the overtake was still pretty exceptional. We both kind of gave high note to that. Anything more on Albon?
No, that's everything.
So my one to watch will be Kimi Raikkonen. Obviously I would expected him to have performed well at Spa obviously that damage he sustained in turn 1 Spa. The Alphas seem to have pace. Obviously they have that Ferrari engine in them, power unit, but obviously they were talking about it over the summer, how they've improved this year. I think they've found an extra 1.5 seconds, or it was a percentage increase in performance that was really impressive from where they were last year. And obviously Kimi's been absolutely loving life in Alfa Romeo, so I imagine he will be determined to do well. A track that he loves, because obviously he's well loved by the Ferrari fans, isn't he, from his time obviously still being the last world champion for Ferrari.
Yeah, definitely. And that moves us on to constructor, and my constructor to watch, once again, you'll know if you saw our video, it is Racing Point. So Racing Point as a team, when they were in the branding of Force India, always developed a car that was very slippery in a straight line. Something that will definitely benefit them this weekend. And they've had their aero update that came in for Spa, wasn't it?
Well, they've had their upgrade packages, and then at Spa they brought in a new low downforce front nose. It was similar, I think, to what McLaren's have been sporting last year.
So they've had their upgrades to get themselves set, and I think it's now at the stage where the investment in the team is starting to come through in the developments that are being seen in terms of the car's package. So I just think this weekend is going to be a rather successful one for the Racing Points.
Yeah, and for me, I think Renault's actually might do well if they can sort their race strategy out, because before the race penalties they actually qualified very well in Spa. I believe they were 6th and 7th in their positioning off the top of my head, but they certainly were above. Obviously it moved Kimi and Checo further up the grid when they moved out of the top 10 with those. But yeah, both Ricciardo and Hülkenberg did very well in qualifying last year. I just feel Yeah, well, again, they're going to be frustrated that, well, Hulkenberg did get the points, didn't he, in the end with the double retirement, but they'll be frustrated not to have capitalised on that. I think they might do quite well this weekend. I certainly think they are one to watch, and yeah, they certainly need it. Because I think as well, actually, we'll bring in a bit of F1 news from this is, I don't think their participation beyond 2020 is guaranteed within the sport. So they are really starting to, in this second half of the season and next season, need to pick up results to, I think, convince people at the higher levels in the board levels that, well, it's worth keeping pumping money into this expensive sport. That probably moves us on nicely to our nice little section where we look at the rookies. If you are new to this, we look at all, obviously, the 3 rookies of George Russell, Lando Norris and Alexander Albon, and because obviously not much experience in his previous time in Formula 1, we do include Giovinazzi within this. So you went with the ones to watch first. Shall I go first for the rookies?
Yes, definitely.
Right, number 1, I think, is going to be Alexander Albon. I do think Lando Norris's performance will be affected by the engine penalty that we're expecting him to take. So number 1 is going to be Alexander Albon. Number 2, in his home Grand Prix, I'm going to back him to do well. I'm going to back Giovinazzi to have a solid performance in the Alfa Romeo. I've already backed Kimi to do well, but I'm going to back the Alfas to do well as well. 3, Lando Norris, and like I said, I think he'll be influenced by that engine penalty. He might still have a good race within that, but I think he might struggle to get a points finish there. And 4th, George Russell, because like I said in our race review when we were looking at our rookies, I think they're going to be so far off again in terms of that pace advantage, where they just kind of drift. All the progress they made in Hungary, they'll drift back, and I don't think any of the other rookies are going to do exceptionally bad, so he unfortunately sits at the bottom.
Now, mine doesn't seem as out there as what it would have been.
No.
So I was going to say Giovinazzi for number 1. The Alfa's going to perform well, and I could see a lot of positives from his performance in Spa. So felt that this weekend he's going to do well in his home race, be up there, getting points. Alexander Albon, number 2. It's going to be seeing that performance without penalties for that Red Bull and just being able to see what he can actually achieve in that car. Lando Norris, we're going to see quite an attack from him. I'm a little bit more confident than you. I think he will get through the pack quite well, just because of the performance in terms of the power unit in Spa, with him in control of the McLaren there. And as you say, George Russell, I just don't see the Williams being competitive enough for him to be able to do anything spectacular. So I've got a feeling that it is going to be another race weekend where he will be qualifying 19th, and then in the race, dependent on retirements, he will just be finishing ahead of Robert Kubica. So yeah, not a great weekend, unfortunately, due to the car rather than ability.
Yeah, sorry George. Hope he gets a car to show off his ability soon in 2020. Hopefully Williams make a step up. McLaren's shown it's possible. So yeah, but I don't think they were ever as far behind as what Williams have been this year. So I think now, before we round off, we usually have our kind of 3 almost silly predictions there. They usually end up being a bit silly, but some might be sensible. We're not too sure.
Yeah, no, I think we can be as silly as we want, but also they'll be out there.
It seems our back and forth, so I think it's your turn to start first, isn't it?
It's normally me to go first for this one. I like the fact that last week you did. It gave me a little bit of time to think. I'm gonna go with a nice and obvious one to start off with. The dominance of Ferrari power units. Got a feeling that Ferrari are going to have the 1-2, Alfa are going to have a strong race, and then also Haas will have a strong race in terms of where they've been this season. Still not confident in their actual race performance, because that always seems to be what lets them down.
Yeah, but there is one team that has struggled more than anybody else with tyres this year. It is Haas.
So that's going to be the first one. Second one, let's go with Lance Stroll to out-finish Checo Perez.
I mean, that is silly.
Got to be out there a little bit. Lance Stroll, you know what you got to do.
You're backing him.
Just beat your teammate. I'm going to go for it.
Have a good Saturday and it will set you up for the
If
race.
Checo Perez takes grid penalties, then that one in the bag.
Oh yeah, it could be.
And then my third one, I'm going to go with... double retirement for Renault.
Cool, he's thrown my ones to watch out the window and under the bus there, hasn't he? I've gone,
Yeah.
Renault, great performance this weekend. He's gone double retirement. See you later, guys.
Yeah.
Renault, sack him off.
Yeah, there we go. That one's going to be a little bit out there as well.
Fair enough. I'm going to... Is it necessarily out there? I'm going to back Max Verstappen. No, lies. I'm going to back Alex. I just remembered the potential grid penalty.
Yeah.
I'm going to back Alexander Albon to finish ahead of Valtteri Bottas this weekend.
Ooh.
There. Second one is going to be a double points finish for Alfa Romeo. My last one last weekend worked with my double race finishes, predicting the Racing Point one. But Alphas are going to do it this week. And third, Haas are going to score a point. Not sure how many points they're going to score, but they are going to score points.
I don't think that's an out there prediction.
Well, maybe it's not out there. Maybe I'm playing it close to home this weekend. Maybe I'm playing it safe. I'm taking my 1 points. I'm getting my coins and tipping point and making sure that I bring the money home. Although there is no money on this.
No, not at all. This is just us having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah. So, realistically, a completely pointless analogy.
Exactly.
Probably most of the things that we come out with, to be fair, just opinions. We just like talking F1.
Yeah.
But that, guys, is our race preview for Monza. It is a great circuit. It's a classic. It is one of those ones that you just want to visit as a race fan. And yeah, we're disappointed we're not there this weekend, but we'll be enjoying watching on the TV, that is for sure. So guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Let us know that you like the video.
Make sure that you are pressing the subscribe button so that you can see when our videos are going live. And if you press the bell icon, then you will get a notification to let you know that that has happened. And it means you can be one of the first to find out what we're talking about in this video.
And we talk about lots.
There's a lot of them out there.
And comment down below, guys, what are your preview kind of predictions? Who is your ones to watch from the weekends? What would you rate the rookies? What order they were to come in? And also kind of 3 fun out there, maybe slightly safer predictions of what you think is going to happen this weekend at Monza. I always said Spa there. Monza. So guys, as always, we've been F1 Fanatics, and you F1 fans, keep racing. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the video today. Me and Ash are excited for the action to be back again this weekend. So guys, don't forget, if you are new around here, you can click and subscribe to the channel here. And maybe check out our video, F1 Fantasy weekly video we did with special guests, the F1 debate show, up here. And also maybe check out our race review from Spa ahead of this weekend. Guys, thanks for watching.